From the CNHT studios in Concord, New Hampshire, just a few blocks from the New Hampshire State House, this is Law Talk.
Welcome back. My sequencer wasn't working because I didn't press the sequence button correctly. That was my fault. It wasn't the software, it was the hardware. It's not that hard, I gotta tell you. It's pretty damn simple. But I wanted to play Vaseline, so I'm going to play it, and you can just listen to me talk over it.
Isn't that appropriate in conjunction with the bathroom bill?
It is. Could be.
Vaseline.
Could be.
Hardware doesn't make mistakes.
Users make mistakes. Correct. Exactly. Alrighty. We're going to talk about school choice.
I can just watch Skip cringing when I say stuff like that.
He's not here to watch you. He can look at the...
He said what?
He said what? He said Vaseline. Okay.
You played him.
School choice.
You played him, I riffed off him.
School choice.
Go for it.
School choice.
School choice.
We have a bill it's in the Senate, and I think in my newsread I said it was getting beaten, pummeled, and abused.
That's a pretty good way of describing it.
All right, let's talk about how it started, what it was supposed to be, and what they did to it.
And as Texas Governor Greg Abbott said, it's your money, it's your kids, it's your choice.
Right, and that's what it should be, of course.
Although technically it's everybody's money.
Everybody's money. It's tax
If it was
dollars.
Just their money, I'd be like, do whatever the hell you want.
And that's a whole nother level of conversation, right?
Yes.
But so HB 1637 was a House bill that some representatives wanted to introduce to help Croydon. Am I in video?
You are now.
You will be.
No. I would have done something. I don't know. Just kidding. I wouldn't have done anything.
We want you to be who you are, because
Right.
this is our Saturday best right here. So
She would have brought her V mask.
That would have been awesome.
You can not be on video. I can put Ian on while you're talking if you prefer.
You can watch him drink coffee. Just move your mouth while she's talking.
No, that's what usually happens. It's usually the other way around.
You can't even see the strings.
Exactly. Okay, HB 1637. So the House wanted to help Croydon, right? And I don't have to summarize.
No, we've covered that.
All right, good.
State school board screwed you. State Supreme Court screwed you.
Well, not Supreme Court, Superior Court.
Superior Court so far, right.
But there's no decision yet. We're still waiting. It's been over 2 months.
Okay, it sounded like they were going to screw you, though, initially. That was my feeling.
Well, that's the state's hope,
yes,
right?
Yes.
But
well, obviously, because there's a lot of districts that are sitting on this waiting for a decision to see what they can do.
Exactly right.
A lot of,
Yep. It's not just about Croydon,
Right.
and that's what everybody tries to impress on everybody else. It's the Croydon bill. It's everybody talks
really
about
not.
it like that.
I mean, even like Pinkerton, all the schools along the border that send people into other, everybody's affected by this.
Everybody can be affected by it. It's true. And particularly small towns that don't have
their own districts,
their
right?
own schools.
Yeah, their own schools.
Yeah, exactly. So the bill that was introduced, Ralph Boehm introduced it, had a couple of problems with it, and there were some reps that weren't happy with it. So one of there were two problems in particular. One was that they put the language in the wrong section of the RSAs. It was in the parental responsibility section of what school boards can do. I mean, it was in other sections as well, but why is it in that one? And it also specified non-religious private schools, which it's like, there's laws in other places about what kinds of private schools tax money can follow. So why put that here? So there were a few reps who were not happy with it, and they decided to get together with the senator. So Kevin Avard put in an amendment, and this is what got brought to the Senate Education Committee, putting it in the right place and removing the language about non-religious schools. So that was actually really nice. It was a good bill, but another amendment came to the table at that time as well, and Senator Granero introduced that, and it looks like it was done in collaboration with the Department of Ed, because basically what it said was, yeah. Have you seen the amendment?
I haven't yet, but I could just smell it from
Yeah,
here.
no, exactly.
Concord's only a couple of the state houses right there.
You smell all these things come by. Wow,
yeah.
It's like Staten Island. Wow.
or Newark, New Jersey,
Yeah, exactly.
right there in the armpits by the refineries.
That's right, exactly. So basically, the Granero bill amendment added language that would require any private school who would be considered in such a program would have to follow state testing laws and state curriculum laws, essentially making them public schools.
Correct.
And
yeah.
so there goes choice. The point is to clarify the law, not change it, because there's nowhere else that says
You can go anywhere you want as long as it's the same as this.
Exactly. So it just gives more control to the state. I mean, so we're not happy with that. However, the Senate passed that version unanimously last week. But then it went to Senate caucus this week because there were a lot of people who weren't happy. And we went and called our senators and, talked to people. I spoke with John Reagan. I spoke with Jerry Little. I spoke with the chief of staff of the Senate. And they're all saying, we really want to help Croydon and small towns. So tell us what we need to do in order to make this right. And it's like, yeah, the AVARD amendment actually does it the right way. Well, so in Senate caucus this week, they only got a vote of 8. Well, they only got 8 votes for the AVARD amendment. So basically that failed, which means it defaults back to the previous one, which is that the Granero Amendment passed. So now it has to go back to the House. And since it was a House bill, I guess, and they get to decide what they want to do.
Because they changed it, yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, both bills are bad. And, I mean, they don't, neither really, I mean, I don't know, neither really helps us in the way that should be done, and it's not well done. So why not? What we would like to encourage the House to do is kill the bill. Do it again next year. Do it right. Let's make sure everybody's on the same page and the language all gets in the right place and does the right thing.
I was going to say, because the existing language is probably better than any new change that you've just mentioned. I can't imagine that.
Well, it's already within the law to do what we're doing.
I thought the language was fine. Pretty much. I mean, obviously nothing's perfect and it never will be, but when we talked about it originally, it looked quite obvious to me that New Hampshire already had school choice and they just hadn't taken
and you see it
advantage
all
of
over the place.
Exactly.
Yes. Especially for the towns that are on the border, they get to send their kids to any school they want in the other states. And within New Hampshire, certainly special ed, those kids can go anywhere they want. Or should you really treat special ed kids differently from regular ed kids? And then you have schools like Pinkerton.
Well, we can't do that.
Right? No, of course not.
That would be special.
Right. And not all
make
kids
them
are
different,
special.
And
right.
And not all kids are special.
Right.
But as long as they can use the same bathrooms.
Right. Exactly.
I
So-
just don't.
Anyway, that's where we are.
Some days I get up and I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
Being on the
Maybe,
And
maybe
then
you're part of a show like the Truman Show.
We're
all here
yeah.
just to watch Steve get
Yeah,
Isn't that
maybe.
depressing?
Maybe.
Right. Oh, just for
That would
Steve,
be
right.
Well, then they see. Oh, well, good, cool. Because then you can. While we're talking, since I'm on the Truman Show, let's look at my puppy.
So sweet.
My puppy.
Why isn't he here?
He's. Oh my God. He'd be eating everything. He's 9 weeks old yesterday. So
Oh, wow. So in a year, he'll be coming.
in a year, maybe I'll bring him in. Yeah, he'll be trained by then, and hopefully.
Yeah, let me swing the camera around your way, and you can put the puppy on.
Oh, puppy. Puppy.
Puppy.
What's his name?
Cosmo.
Cosmo. That's a cool name.
Like Cosmo Kramer?
Yeah, you're the second person who said that.
Or because he's in orbit.
Like Cosmonaut, Cosmopolitan, Cosmological,
Cosmoline.
Cosmopolitan.
Cosmoline, yeah.
Like that feminist magazine.
Yeah, sure, Cosmopolitan. It's Cosmo. My wife wanted to name the dog Cosmo. All right, it's cute. He already answers to his name, so that's good.
Perfect.
Start. Not 100% house trained yet. We've had him since he was 7 weeks old, so we've had him for 2 weeks. So I'm
take
still
a
getting
while.
up at 2:30 in the morning to take him out. But he doesn't cry or whine when I put him back in his crate, so we're in pretty good shape. Now it's just a question of making those hours longer and longer between bathroom breaks, and then we'll be good. So coming along nice.
Just like training a kid, but faster.
A little bit faster, yeah. Plus you can leave your puppy in a crate all night.
We never succeeded with crates with our dogs.
No.
Yeah. I mean, Cody just.
There are crates for kids. They're called cots. They got the bars on the sides.
We
The
crate trained our
kids don't like those either.
Our 10-year-old lab shepherd was crate trained. She was fine. Although we got her at 10 weeks, and she was a rescue, and she knew to go out day one. She walked over the door. We're like, ooh. Yeah, the chewing and stuff, we had to teach her all that. But this dog we got at 7 weeks, just a week after he was weaned. So it was a little bit
Labs
more work.
chew. It's what they do.
All dogs
All
chew, but
dogs
labs
chew,
chew a lot because I was just reading online.
Lab,
They go,
lab chew the neighbor's purse, your favorite pair of boots.
generations we've been
anything that you
teaching
leave
labs
around.
to use their mouths for work, and now you want to complain because they want to use their mouth for play.
Right.
And it's like, no, I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to figure out how to get them to
You need to give them the right stuff to
stop
That's right.
chewing on me. Sharp little needles for teeth, you know.
Oh, yeah, especially at first.
Does he get to play with other dogs?
I bring him to work with me. There's dogs there.
Okay.
And we are working on getting him we want to get him into a puppy class when he's 10 or 12 weeks old so that he sees more dogs. He sees a lot of different people every day.
Bring him up to the farm. We got a lot of dogs.
Yeah. Because one of the things they teach each other is how hard is too hard.
Yeah.
Even as puppies.
All our dogs get trained by the other dogs.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And we don't have to do anything.
You see, my dog doesn't want anything to do with it. What is that? You know, but she's only been pretty much the only dog, and then we had another rescue that was like 5 or 6 years old, and we had him for 5 years, and she didn't like him either, but she tolerated him. And then he passed away like after Christmas last year. So once he's a little bigger, the new dog, and he should get bigger than her, even though she's pretty large for a female because she's part shepherd. We'll have 2 big dogs again. Yay!
He'll still think he's smaller.
Well, maybe, but I think big dogs are like ideal security tools. I love them. You know, I think that people need to have a dog in their house if they live anywhere that's not right next to a police station, and maybe even if they do. Because, you know,
an armed dog, perfect.
An armed dog, yeah. Just because, you know, people walk by, they bark. And most of your run-of-the-mill house burglars don't want anything to do with a dog if the house next door doesn't have a dog. And conveniently enough, the house next door to mine doesn't have a dog. So it's really perfect. She's allergic to dogs. They can't have dogs.
Put up a sign saying no
dogs.
Right.
No dogs over there.
Yeah. Dog-free zone next door.
Dog-free zone, exactly. So, all right. Next week on Dog Talk.
That's right. So last word on this is for anybody who's listening, call your state rep and encourage them to kill the bill, kill 1637.
Is there any way at this point to resurrect the AVARD amendment, or is that toast?
Well, that was what was attempted in the Senate this week after the vote last week.
Is anyone in the House thinking they can retool this again, or they just want to kill it?
I mean, the people I know working on it, so J.R. Hall, Greg Hill, some other people, they think it's best to kill it.
Yeah, well, sometimes it is.
Yeah, and start again next year.
Right.
Euthanize it and start over.
Put it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so no school choice bill this year. You're still waiting on a decision for your case from Superior Court. Your students are still
in private schools.
In private schools.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Those who want to. We're not forcing anybody to do that. Yeah.
You will go to private school, hey? No, people are like, no, it's choice or choice.
Choice, exactly.
You get to decide.
Right.
Choice means the people's choice, not the government's choice.
That's right. And to be fair, our town, it's not just about private schools, right? Kids can go to any school they want.
Right.
As long as their parents are willing to take them there. That's it.
For real school choice would be, of course, I would get to choose whether to pay school taxes or not.
Correct.
Which I don't.
That would be school tax choice,
Yeah.
which we don't have.
That's a little harder to do.
Well, considering how much trouble we're having with this, I mean...
Yeah, well, that's true. It would be terribly hard, but liken it to, other voucher programs, right, for food or for housing, right? You get Section 8 housing. If you can't afford to live someplace, the government will help you do that. Why not do the same thing with schools?
Yeah,
Why not have...
I'd be okay with that, and chances are the cost would be less than the public schools.
And the quality would be better because parents would be paying attention to what's going on in the schools more than they do now.
Maybe.
Yeah,
what's happened to colleges.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Ian on the school tax choice thing, but realistically, young folks don't have the money to put their kids through school, or don't have all of the money.
Not at the current costs.
Okay, they'll never have the money if you let costs keep rising.
Right.
Nobody can come up with $45,000 to educate their 3 kids, but the reason it costs $45,000 is the people making the choices about who to pay what.
When in fact you can do it for about $7,000 quite well.
You could do it for $3,000. You could do it for $2,000. You could get a kid every year. You could get a kid a computer, a high-speed internet connection, and basically. There's stuff online that you can get for free from MIT, Stanford, whatever. You can get the teaching company, which are the best teachers in the world, $69. They can watch it 10 times if they want to. If they're looking down doing something, they look up and the teacher has moved on to something. They're not, just, now I don't know what that was. it shouldn't cost anywhere near that.
No, but you can't realistically expect all kids to focus and learn online. The reason you
No, not at all.
Not all
the reason
kids.
you have schools and you have teachers mostly is because
If you put it on Instagram and Twitter, yes, you can.
yeah, okay, is because mostly
Make vines, education vines. My daughter would be brilliant.
okay, the kids are in a focused environment. They know some are better than others. They know they're there to learn, and in a
No, they know they're there to listen to a teacher lecture. They don't know. They end up associating the word learning with school and not liking it.
Yeah.
fine, but that's why good charter schools have kids that are engaged, happy, and learning.
Because of choice.
Well, not just because of choice, but because they have to. Yeah, I guess
They choose to go to those schools.
because the schools make the education engaging.
Well, they're selling a product. It's the free market at work.
Yeah,
If
that's
nobody
right.
wants your burger, you're not going to sell anything.
I went to a charter school on Manhattan's East Side.
Mm-hmm.
It was Harlem Way, I think. It was a depressing area. It was a street you wouldn't want to be on at night.
Mm-hmm.
You might not want to hang around with the people on the street corner. And there was this. It might have been an old mill building or an old office building. It doesn't matter. It externally looked drab. Internally, it was all brightness, light, bustle, action, happy kids, and they were all learning stuff. I went there to fix some Wi-Fi problems, but what was educational for me was there in the depths of the government education jungle was this bright beacon where kids were happy being educated for a much lower price.
And some kids would be happy, and some kids would thrive in that situation, and it doesn't necessarily have to. The money for it doesn't necessarily have to be taken from other people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some kids who don't want to go to a school like that and end up going to college so they can get a degree in art history and end up working at Wendys. Except they won't be able to work at Wendys
because
now
there's kiosks.
Yeah. We talked
right?
about the kiosks.
Unless they go cheese, it has cheese.
Yeah, the real minimum wage is $0 and always has been.
But I mean, the point I was making earlier about colleges, so college. When I went to college, it was not that expensive, and then suddenly the government started saying, "Well, we won't produce college educations, but we'll pay for them," and boom, right? So if you're a college and you're charging $6,000 a year, and the government says, we'll give kids up to $12,000 a year. Guess what your price is next year? $12,000.
That's right.
And then of course everybody can't get $12,000, so now the government has to give $15,000, and so you're charging $15,000, right? That's what will eventually happen
Which
if
is
you go down
still
this
less
road.
than the average cost of a public school education in a town in the state of New Hampshire.
You will have more variation. You'll have more choice, but the cost is going to go up.
Yeah.
In the long run, this will not save money.
Yeah. So, with the exception of homeschoolers, and everybody wants homeschoolers to be able to do that, to do so if they're so inclined. For most kids and for most parents, having a school works better for them.
Well, that's called daycare.
Right, that is called daycare. So you need to actually separate, and this is one of the things I would like to do at some point, whether it's in Croydon or somewhere else, but just you start calling things by the right name. And so maybe what you do is you say, okay, I will pay $3,000 towards education because that's what it costs, and then the parents are on the hook for the other $12,000, which is daycare. But I shouldn't be paying for their daycare unless you're going to make an argument about how daycare is essential for the kids to grow up and it's all really, But it's daycare.
Yeah. No, it's not. And just imagine if taxes were much lower all over, the women or occasionally the men would stay home and educate the kids.
But they don't have to stay home and educate the kids. This is another one of my little campaigns is I think you need to stop using the word homeschooling because it doesn't mean you have to be schooled at home. I prefer the term parent-directed education. I can keep my kid out of school. I can get other kids together. I can hire tutors. I can send him to places. I have an enormous range of things I can do.
And there are things popping up that aren't on the
but
government radar.
The main thing is it's who's going to be directing it. Who's going to decide what the kid should learn, what's important, what's essential, what's inessential, what's just stupid, and that should be the parents.
You're right. But when you say you can hire tutors, you can send them places, you're then making a presumption that all parents can afford to do all things.
No, because you can hire. You could hire one tutor 12 parents could hire a tutor for their kid.
You're absolutely right, and that's the point. What you're really looking at is parent cooperatives.
Yes.
To
and they
do this.
exist also.
Yes. The parents direct what their kids are doing. They don't provide it.
And then you get a little schoolhouse on the prairie effect.
Right. And so whoever's doing the teaching is directly.
I'm not even sure
if
the wireless is working. But
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. For a couple of years, my kids went to a small private school, which is basically one schoolhouse with an elderly professor guy and his wife who was a music teacher and other things. They had incredible breadth of knowledge. The kids were across a range of ages,
Right.
mostly sort of 6 or 8, six to low teens, but they taught all of them, and they all learned, and they all learned faster than they would anywhere else.
I would guess that what's going on that people don't appreciate there is the teachers there are not doing all the work. The students are teaching the younger students.
Just like the old time
which makes
one-room
them
schoolhouse.
better students because, as anybody who's done it knows, the best way to learn something is to turn around and try to teach it to somebody
If you have to teach it, you've got to be really secure in your
That's
knowledge.
Right, and so the 12-year-olds are teaching the 10-year-olds. The 10-year-olds are teaching the 8-year-olds.
But there's another fallacy here. You don't have to be secure in your knowledge. You have to be secure in your ability to find the information you need.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's one of the problems with schools, too. Teachers feel like they have to be on top of it. I have witnessed teachers in classrooms who actually don't have the knowledge but act like they do. Right. And the kids know that these teachers are full of it. And, what good is that?
Yeah, well, the kids need to have the courage to challenge those teachers. I have always challenged my teachers, even when I was in the Air Force as a young man. I challenged officers who were teachers when they were full of it.
Yeah, but modern education is not your grandchild's Oldsmobile. So
Right.
things have changed a little bit. We're going to take a really quick break. We'll come back and continue this
I
conversation.
didn't literally say you're full of it, but I got pretty close.
Yeah, okay.